Well, we're at the mayor's desk. I'm Tom Cook, the mayor of Freehold Township, and this is my first from the mayor's desk. And I'm very pleased to have Senator Jennifer Beck with us as our guest on the program today. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about and very little time to talk about it. So we're going to begin.
Well,
how are you?
Great, Mayor. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be the mayor of a town I spent most of my life in. I did spend some portion in the borough and in the township. So I'm very pleased to sit here and be the mayor, and I'm also pleased to have you as my guest, my first guest.
Well, thank you. It's a great honor, and we do have a lot to talk about.
We do.
There's a lot going on in Freehold Township and in the state of New Jersey, so I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Well, the number one issue that I hear when I'm out and about are property taxes.
Oh, no question.
Okay. The good news is I believe in Freehold Township we do a very good job of keeping the municipal tax rate at a level that's affordable, using the term affordable. The school is a big piece of our taxes, which we don't control to an extent. And just tell the viewers what's going on in New Jersey. And I know it's always the subject matter in the paper. And
yeah. Well, we are fighting the fight. There is more to do, no question. And I think the big ones for us in the state legislature are the sick vacation reforms. In other words, public employees that can collect sick and vacation time throughout their career. It accumulates to be quite a large number in some cases. And those payouts are deadly for school districts and municipalities. I think everyone is familiar with the story of the superintendent in Keensburg. I know, it was paying, $780,000 in unused sick and vacation. And I think for most of us, we say, if you don't get sick, that's the blessing, that you didn't get sick. You shouldn't get paid for not getting sick. But nonetheless, those were agreements that were made for many of our employees, and there is reform on the table that we have been talking about that has to happen for our taxpayers. It is a big cost driver. It's important. It's something we got to do, no question. So
do you
that's
see it
one.
get a little traction? Do you think it might get traction?
Yeah, it is supported by both Democrats and Republicans.
Okay.
So I think the hard line has been that the governor has said he does not want to see any sick or vacation time paid for at all, except for what you've already accumulated, because you can't take it away from somebody.
Right.
And that the Democrats have come back with something that's a little more moderate, saying they can get up to $15,000. They can accumulate up to $50,000, which is what state employees get. So they're kind of using that as the benchmark. But that is a big contributor to property taxes. And I think the other one is pension health benefits reform. You are well aware we did a round of reforms in 2010. And they were successful, but we have to do more. We still have an $80 billion outstanding liability for unpaid pension and health that's still out there. It's a big number.
And sadly, I explain this to people that I run into, and I work in New York City, and we have a friend of mine, his brother was a New York City fireman. He retired at 48 years old. His pension was, I believe, $72,000. If he lives to 80, his costs will far exceed anything anybody contributed to his pension, and that's New York. So if you extrapolate it out over New Jersey and 8 million residents and whatever portion of them are in public pensions,
Right.
It's very, very costly. And we're living longer for good reasons. We're healthier, but it needs to be something needs to be done because we can't pay the bill.
We need to figure it out, and I think I certainly have said, we have a moral obligation to pay the pensions and health benefits that we've committed to for those public employees that already retired. I mean, for God's sakes, they worked to their 30 years, whatever. You can't go back and say, oh, just kidding, we're not paying it. But going forward, we have to figure it out because taxpayers in this state cannot afford it. It is much too expensive. It's a system that isn't used anymore in the private sector because of how expensive it is, and we've got to come around with more reforms. So
for selfish reasons, you grow up in a community your entire life.
Right.
You've made friends. Your kids go to school. You make friends with new parents, and now we're friends. But I have friends who fortunately are able to retire earlier and are moving, okay,
Right.
out of New Jersey. And they love it here. And we've had the conversation. I mean, Freehold Township, if you think about it, we're 40 miles from Manhattan. We're 60 miles from Philadelphia. We're 15 miles from the beach. 100 miles from the Poconos. It's a great place to live.
It's great.
It just, when you're on a fixed income, you're going to move away. And then I miss my friends and family, etc.
Yes.
So definitely.
We actually have, for this budget cycle, an issue that Republicans and Democrats are pushing with the governor, which is the estate tax.
Okay.
In New Jersey, our estate tax starts at $675,000, and anything above that is taxed. At the federal level, it's not taxed to $5 million. So those numbers may sound big, but because our housing costs are so expensive in this state, it's really not a lot of money, and it's one of the many reasons that retirees choose not to stay here.
Really? See, I knew there was an issue there. I just didn't know the extent of it.
So we see that as a change that must be made. It's going to cost us about $250 million. We're going to phase it in over time, but we are looking to keep those folks that reach retirement age in New Jersey because they're a valuable asset to us, and we want them to stay with their families. But the fact that the estate tax kicks in at such a low level as compared to other states and as compared to the federal tax is one of the drivers for people leaving the state.
And it's funny, you say 675,000, and I know there's people out there saying, "No, I
Oh,
don't
that's
have."
a lot, right?
But it's funny. My wife and I, about 5, 6 years, 7 years ago, sat down with a lawyer to do estate planning and wills and stuff, and he said, "Do you have $1 million in assets?" And I said, "Oh, absolutely not. We don't." And he goes, "Here, fill out this form." Well, we filled it out. When you figure in life insurance policies, if we both deceased, your house, your cars, your furniture, your clothes, and it went on and on and on. And I have 401k. She has a. It came to $1 million, and I said, "Oh my God!" So for the viewers out there, 675,000 is not a lot, hard to reach. Okay, so if we were to both die, our heirs would have to pay taxes on everything over 675.
Right.
So you're right, exactly right. So, and if that keeps people here,
Right.
because quite honestly, when parents move away, in a lot of instances, the kids will follow.
Right, because they're looking for help maybe with the kids. They, of course, want to share all the holidays and family times with their parents. And so, yeah, it becomes a real issue. And it's a driver that we are going to try to address in this budget cycle. And it has bipartisan support. So I think that's good news for New Jersey in terms of trying to keep our residents in this state when they do retire.
It'd be fantastic. I have 2 of my kids live in Pennsylvania because they went to college, never came home. They stayed there, which is fine.
Right.
And my wife has said, if they get married and have grandchildren, we've got to get a place.
We're going to Pennsylvania.
No, we have to get a place there. We'll go back and forth. And I said, because I am going to be there for my grandchildren. I don't want them to worry about who's going to take care of the kids. I'm going to take care of the kids. I said, okay, good for you.
All right.
All right, well, we've talked about New Jersey. Let's talk about transportation. We've got a lot going on. We've got the work going on at Route 9 and Craig Road.
Yes.
And it's funny. People complain for years about that intersection. Now that it's under construction, people stop me. Tom, when are they going to be done? So.
Well, it's always, I live in the borough of Red Bank, and we have the bridge that's being.
Yes.
The West Front Street Bridge is being repaired, and it's inconvenient, but it desperately needed to be fixed. And I was fortunate enough to have the new Commissioner of Transportation, Jamie Foxx, came in to sit with your folks here in Freehold Township and talk about Freehold Township's transportation needs and priorities. And, there's a lot on the table here. You have a western part of Monmouth County continuing to grow in terms of traffic, truck traffic, car traffic, and the roads need to be improved, and a lot of the intersections need to be improved. So you're right, we've got, Wemrick Road. It has an intersection that's on the table. We have Route 9, we have 537, a couple different intersections that are being visited, and the commissioner was great. I mean, he really got it. And I think this is a conversation that's got to be ongoing between our Freehold Township folks, myself, and the Commissioner of Transportation to make sure that some of these projects get prioritized and move forward, because there's a real need.
Well, now the question is paying for it.
Oh, of course.
The Transportation Trust Fund is
Yes.
out of money, or running out of money quickly, and now there's a big debate going on. What do you see happening there?
Yeah, well, Mayor, that's a great question. We, there are a number of different ideas that are being floated. Nothing has been determined yet, but there will be a renewal of the Transportation Trust Fund this year. There is no choice, we have to renew it this year. So, some people are talking a $2 billion a year plan. I'm not so sure that we can achieve that. We have a lot of debt from past rounds of transportation projects. Currently, we spend about $1.6 billion annually on transportation in the state of New Jersey. So I think sometimes when I go up the turnpike and so forth, some parts are quite nice and some parts I'm surprised that more hasn't been done, right? But
exactly.
they get a lot of use. I mean, I think one of the things that we should all note is that New Jersey's roads are some of the most used in the country, because we are a state that accepts a lot of traffic. We have ports, we have airports, we get a lot of freight. You know, we're near the New York, Washington D.C. corridor. We're right here for that corridor, and so it's
Freehold
tough.
Township is a throughway community. You've got Route 9, 537,
Right.
much like New Jersey. Okay,
Right.
and you're not going to come from the north and go to the south driving unless you go through New Jersey. And you're right. And the wear and tear our roads see at the state level, we see it at the local level. I was at a Super Bowl party Sunday night, and a woman comes in and goes, "Tom, we have a pothole that could swallow a car on my street. Can you take care of it?" Of course, I called Pete Valesi, and we don't pave in weather like this, but they're going to go over and put stone so it doesn't swallow her car. But we're a small municipality in the big picture of things, and it costs money. Everything costs money.
Right.
So,
And of the 5 transportation projects that Freehold Township brought to Commissioner Fox's attention, there are several $1 million worth of work right there. So this Transportation Trust Fund is critically important to our towns and, of course, to the state. I can say that I am opposed to the gas tax. I know many people are kicking that around as a way to raise revenue to fund transportation, but I don't know. I think my residents are overtaxed as it is.
I would agree, as one of those residents.
I don't think we need to have the highest taxes in every single category. So, to me, it's not a great approach. The amount you'd have to raise the gas tax is something like 32 cents in order to raise enough money. It would be exorbitant. So, and it's very regressive.
We'd be New York.
It's very regressive. So, we're looking at all options. Governor's office has been working round the clock trying to figure out the next steps, and you'll see something come out soon. It'll be within the next month or so.
Okay, that's good. I'm just looking at my notes to see what else I want to talk about. I talked about cost of New Jersey, and I'm losing friends. And I'm sure you're losing friends as well. And
well, I can tell you, speaking of that very topic, right here in Freehold Township at the Riviera, I had a group of very active citizens come to my office, and they are retired, and they're very worried about their ability to stay in the state. And of course, they went through a revaluation where, with a reval, it's interesting because half the people's taxes go down, half of them go up.
That's correct.
Right. So many of these folks, their taxes went up and went up dramatically, and came to me to say, what does New Jersey do for seniors with property taxes? And the answer is the Senior Property Tax Freeze is our program that addresses property tax issues for seniors who are on a fixed income. The challenge is it has an income cutoff. So if you make $70,000 or less, you qualify. And you will, in essence, freeze your taxes at the rate that you at the moment you filed, whatever the rate was, that's where they freeze.
Okay.
But for some people, that's not helpful because the joint income may be higher than 70.
And you probably need more than 70 to live in our state to some degree. I mean, I moved into Freehold Township when I bought my house in 1997, and our taxes were $2,400 a year. And today those taxes are $10. And I'm not complaining. We have a phenomenal school system. We have all the things. But if you're a senior, you can't have your taxes going up if you're on a fixed income. And
Right.
it's a challenge.
Right. And the folks at the Riviera are great. They're very
They're very smart. They're very on
very
top.
bright. They did a lot of homework. And I ultimately ended up drafting a bill based on their comments that would provide a higher level of relief for people that had gone through a revaluation where their taxes had gone up by more than 10% over the course of time.
Right.
It would give them some relief over the course of 4 years to try to help them adjust to the new tax level. It's not a perfect solution, but I figure, one of the things with the reval is once that revaluation is done, if your taxes were at 8 and now you're assessed at 12, you got to come up with $4,000 that year.
Yes.
So it's a sticker shock. In Newark, they have done this where they actually phase in increases in property taxes over time, and it's helped people plan and adapt and adjust and be able to.
Well, Monmouth County's part of that program is the pilot program for
Yes.
that, and this is year one, and we've had some homes go up, some homes go down. For the most part, most homes of the, I want to say there's like 13,000 residential units in the community, pretty much little fluctuation up and down, not dramatic, and that will eliminate or minimize the sticker shock we're used to when you do a reeval 10 years after your house was last assessed and your house was, and I can use mine as an example. We were assessed at 264, and 3 years ago we reassessed at 400. We were worth 400. We were probably worth 425. Okay, and I'm being involved. I know what to expect. But if you're the average homeowner and you're looking and you were 260 and now you're 400, you're freaking out.
Right.
So,
Right. And it's ability to pay when you're on a fixed income and you're not earning any longer. It's difficult. That's why we really need to move forward some of these tax reforms, because ultimately we want to keep our seniors here.
Absolutely. You need them as the fabric. You can't have a community full of all young people because there's no grandparents and they're going to leave to go visit
Right.
and they might move there. So yes, I definitely agree. What about, you're coming to Freehold Senior Center in March, correct?
I was just going to say, the Freehold Senior Center, if you haven't been there, quite a dynamic place.
It's a great place.
Everybody's dancing. Everybody's having a ball. The food is great. I mean, a couple hundred people were there the last time I went. It is so well run. I mean, it's...
Have you been to a senior prom that they have?
No.
That's where the seniors, students from the National Honor Society of Freehold Township High School, sign up and they go over to the senior center, and then the seniors participate, and it's a prom. So you have the young 17, 18-year-olds and the 60 and older, and there's a DJ and there's dinner and there's dancing, and it's set up like a prom, and the young people very much get into it. The seniors very much get into it, and it's very festive. I've been there 2 or 3 years in a row, and there's usually about 250 people there, and everybody has a very, very good time.
Yeah.
So.
Congratulations.
The
Mayor,
credit
you
goes-
and your team, you're responsible for running that, and I have to say, it is one of the best in the county and maybe in the state. I mean, it is really
Well, you would know
well done.
better about that because you go to all of them.
I do go to all of them.
It's a great place, and my aunt, actually, I have one of my aunts, goes there not to the events, just to play cards. She goes in the back room and she plays cards with like 6 men and another lady, and they play twice a week, I think. And I said, Aunt, I didn't know she was there. I said, Aunt, what are you doing? She said, play cards. And I can't talk to you right now. I got to focus on cards. So get away.
Right. Right.
So, all right. Well, that's all I had on my agenda. What do you?
Yeah.
Anything
Well,
else?
I was going to mention, on the other end of the spectrum, we talk about seniors, but I think we should also talk just a little bit about school aid and Freehold Township.
Right.
One of the things that's happened in New Jersey is that our suburban school districts over time have really struggled because a disproportionate share of the resources have gone to the 31 former Abbotts, which are clearly in challenged areas, but the overfunding of those school districts has left very little for everybody else. And it's a struggle, and it's it's something we deal with in Freehold Borough and Freehold Township, frankly. I think one of the answers here is a redistribution. I mean,
I agree wholeheartedly.
we are spending in Asbury Park. We spend about $30,000 a student, and last year we had roughly a little more than 60 kids graduate out of the Asbury Park High School, and none could pass the college readiness exam. So I think as a citizen, even if you said, okay, 30,000 is extraordinary, but you would want to know that these children were educated and could go on to college or go on to jobs and have a sound, solid education behind them for that $30,000 a year. And unfortunately, we're not seeing it. And it's incredibly frustrating. I've met with the governor myself on this issue a number of times.
Well, he's mentioned it. When he was here in Freehold Township, I think it was 2 years ago, he spent a very big piece of his conversation talking about how much we spend using Asbury as the model, and the graduation rate was 30%, and we're spending $30,000 a student. And Freehold Township schools, thank God, my kids are all products of Freehold Township schools. All 3 kids went to Freehold High School. They got great educations, and we're very pleased, and I know we're getting value for the dollar. The frustrating for my residents, or our residents, is when they go to it, and I don't want to call them Abbott districts because we don't use that nomenclature anymore, but one of the disadvantaged schools that have been redone. Long Branch I'll use, for example. Their middle school is phenomenal. It's the most beautiful building.
It's beautiful.
They have, and I'm told this from a friend of mine, there's wrestling mats that are the Ford Chevy, there's the Cadillac, and there's a Rolls Royce wrestling mats. And Long Branch, I believe it was that school, has Rolls Royce wrestling mats. So Freehold Regional High School District has not even Cadillac, they have the Chevy Ford, which is fine, they're wrestling mats. But to me, it's symptomatic of we might be overspending and the money's not making it to the students, particularly in areas that are disadvantaged. So that's just my personal thing. Because listen, we all have friends, they go to these schools and they come back, and I forget the school that got their own pool. And
well, so maybe one of the things that I've noticed, because I have Long Branch, Neptune, and Asbury Park,
okay,
all 3 former Abbotts. In Neptune Township and in Long Branch, the graduation rates are high, above 90. The kids score well on their exams. And they do have a high number of kids that both go on to college and get jobs and are successful. And we do spend more money in those districts, but it's nowhere near 30,000. It's 15 or 16. So I feel like in those districts,
we're getting bang for the buck.
The children are going on and have a great opportunity for a productive life. I guess what really bothers me in Asbury is that we spend an enormous amount, and then the children don't get the education they deserve.
I would agree.
And they're beautiful. I've been in the middle school. The kids are beautiful. They have a life ahead of them, and then they just aren't getting the quality.
Well, they have a new principal in Asbury High School now, so he's got a plan.
We have hope.
Yes.
We have hope. But one of the challenges we have for Freehold Township and your schools is that the aid is, 62% of school aid goes to 31 former Abbotts. And the other 480 some districts split the rest.
And
It's disproportionate. It's not fair.
No.
And it's something that, again, as I said, I know you're well aware of it, and I've talked to the governor about it, and we've talked to our colleagues in the Senate, trying to make some changes, and I'm hopeful that maybe this year we'll see something.
Well, we're always hopeful. I think it's important to note that the Neptune High School principal is a Freehold Township graduate.
David Moy is?
No, is he Rich Allen?
Oh, okay.
Is he not the principal anymore?
Okay.
Well,
I'm thinking the superintendent.
I'm below. Anyway, he's a Freehold Township graduate, Freehold Township High School, and a Freehold Township resident.
Well, how
I
about
see
that?
him over at Jackson Mills Road walking the track and exercising on the equipment. So it's. I just thought since Neptune's doing so well, I should highlight that fact for our residents of Freehold Township. Anything else?
Only to remind people that if they have any issues at all, questions, issues, policy questions, that they should feel free to call my office. It really is why I ran. We take very seriously the calls that come in, and that's why I'm there. I'm
Well-
there to be your representative. I'm there to be your voice. Whether you're happy with me or not, I'm willing to hear it all.
You're
so
willing to listen, and
I'm willing to listen.
you might not be able to solve it, but you'll be able to point people in the right direction. I find in my position, people come up to me, Tom, what are we doing? And there's just some things you just can't do. But all people want to hear is an honest answer. They don't want any of us to say, I'll take care of that. And then you don't. People don't. And I know you don't do that, and I definitely don't do that. I know no one on the governing body will do that in Freehold Township. But you hear it. And it makes people frustrated and
Right.
less engaged.
Well, I'm pretty tenacious, and I will work very hard to try to fix whatever issues are brought my way. Occasionally there are tough ones that either are a federal issue that we can address, or are things that are going to take time, like the school funding formula. But that doesn't mean we don't continue to push and try and figure out a way to find an answer. And so I encourage people. My legislative team in my office is great, smart young people. And my phone is 732-933-1591. Or you can email me at sendbeck@njledge.org. So, thank you, Mayor.
No problem. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you very
Great
much.
to see you,
Yes.
and congratulations again.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Senator Beck for being here, and on behalf of the Freehold Township Committee, Deputy Mayor Anthony Amiano, Committeeman Dave Salkin, Committeeman Lester Preston, and Committeewoman Barbara McMorrow, we all thank you. And, residents, the same as Senator Beck said, if you have any issues, call 732-294-2001, and someone will take care of you and get back to you promptly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Great to see you.
You too.